Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher, and today we're going to take a look at the Tangle Hirari from CZT Midori Furuhashi, and I hope I pronounced all of that correctly. Now, this is a neat tangle, and it starts with the little orb in the center, and I already put the orb in the center. Because I generally do these in one take, but I was rambling a little bit too much, so I decided to spare you that and just start from here. All right, and in the nutshell, spare you with this, and there's another tangle that actually will be coming up soon, because if you are following Inktober Tangles 2021, it is next on the list after that. And so I had put it on my nemesis list. This is very similar, and so we're gonna conquer this one. I really feel like I'm close to there, and that's my hope with these videos, and also just me sharing. I try not to ramble too much, but you know what, I'm a storyteller, I guess, so there we go. and that's just who I am, and I'm not going to change who I am. All right, so here's what I found, to help myself conquer this, and I hope it helps you as well if you've had trouble with these, like with Tangle, or if you've tried this and had a challenge. All right, starts off with an orb in the center. Then, if you have done, there's a number of tangles where we utilize a concept called take off and land. And we'll use this as well. So what I found, so this is a very elongated S shape. So it's kind of a curvy line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace the orb, and come down, and I'm slightly S-ing. Actually, it's a backwards S. So I'm coming out this way. I'm taking off here, and then slight curve and just landing. It's not the land that we would normally do, where we're landing on, say, another orb or something like that. We're just landing in space. Now, here's something that I found helped me. I'm going to do these going to every side. So, or thinking of it, well, you know what, let me do it this way. This is the way I was doing it first. Okay, now I'm going to do one the opposite side. Okay, now making kind of a cross. Because and I'm imagining you could do as many spokes as you want to, but I found this to help me, so that way now I'm just subdividing in between, and as you can see, I'm tracing over a little bit, so that's that takeoff, or prep. It's really a prep, is that takeoff, and then we're landing, and wow, see, my practice is a good thing. Those all have not gone too far. Like I said, I was adding way too much flair at the end of these, and I think that was my trouble before. I was just not having the control I wanted to just make this, like I said, it's an elongated backwards S, because we're going, as you could see, well, either way you slice it, we're going the opposite way. All right, next step on this, and so Midori has basically two variations on her step out. And what I've done, there'll be two links for my step out. So I separated them, and and just because I thought that, because I needed to. It's just for me. So I have two links to the step outs there. All right, so the first one, she said, is based on well, and the Tangle well, and I think I have a video on that. That's where we kind of do this takeoff and land, but it's really kind of a half well, because it's a, similar, well, sort of similar. I think that, well, I'll have to take another look at that one. I think that one is just more curved lines and seeds. But in any case, this is what she calls this one well-based. So after you have all of these spokes done, then we're going to come, and this is on the right side of each spoke. We're just going to kind of draw a big curved line. And as you try it a couple times, you'll find how wide you need to do them, how far down. I'm kind of going, say, 3/4 of the way down to the center-ish, trying to make them kind of big. But as I found, even if they end up to be a little bit, kind of small or narrow, it's okay. It's all right. All right, then from here, we're going to draw, hers looks a little bit curvy. I did some, I don't know, they're a little bit curvy, but more of a straight line. So I just decided I was going to go with a straight line because that helped me. Now, what this is we're going to end right here on each one. So at the end of this big curved line, right? So we're going to end there, but we're going to start here. So you can decide which way you want to go. So on some, I might just draw a little straight line here. And I'm working backwards. So so this is the one on the right, and I'm drawing the line to the, that last step on the left. And you can see as I'm doing that, how we're kind of getting like this star type shape in the center. And so I mean, of course you could play with it and, you know, maybe if you want to add it, make it a little bit curved, and take a look at her samples, because that's why I like to share her sample, the author of the Tangle. I like to share their samples because that way you can kind of get the gist of what they're trying to do. All right, next step, or actually the rest of the steps are straight lines, and there were some extra variations on there, so you want to take a look at those. I felt accomplished enough doing these and feeling good about it. All right, so this one, we're gonna just do this section that we just did, and it does look really cool, doesn't it? All right, so we're gonna do some straight lines, and what I decided to do, was so whatever section, taking the left border of that section, and essentially auraing it. And I'm trying to work with a light touch there. And then just turn your tile, and same thing. And then you just keep doing that all the way around. All right, and you know what? Let's see. So in the spirit of keeping it quickie, let's see how quick. Let's see. Well, if you're doing this with me, and I pause and you continue, and then when you're done, we'll be done at the same time. Okay, but I only have 3 more to go. So this one, it is helpful to watch for me. This is me talking to me. Slow down, watch what you're doing, Heather, and to make sure to stay within those lines, because seeing how they're all so close together, I have a tendency to sometimes not pick up my pen or not stop my pen when, when I've come to this line here, and then I'll have those little trail overs. Okay, so that even looks cool the way it is, but we're going to do some more. So the last bits that are open, we're going to do some curved lines kind of in a little bit different direction, and yeah. And kind of just like this, so you can look at hers to see how she did it, but I just decided, oh, actually, you know what? It could even start here and aura like that, and that is kind of how she has it. But for whatever reason, I like to start up here. And sometimes you can add a little bit of a curve in there, I suppose. And then the object is, of course, keeping them about the same space. And same thing, telling myself again to just mind where I, start my pen, and mostly where I pick it up, because I don't want to go over. And also don't want to go have it stop a little bit shy. Sometimes it seems like it's just one or the other. All right, so I think, let me hit pause and finish these up, and then we'll talk about shading. Be right back. You can pause it if you're tangling with me. Pause it. We'll be right back. All right. Well, there we are. So we're all done with all of those lines. Now, if you take a look at her samples, and you will see some other ideas as far as decorating goes, but I just wanted to stick with how she has it in the step out, because that's the basics, and then you can always go from there. Now, for some shading, here's an idea. So I'm going to shade number 1 at the top of, let's say, this star figure that we have. So these straight lines that are going up and underneath this. So just putting some graphite there. And because it's kind of a small area, just be careful how much you're putting. Okay. And then actually I'm going to just start with just doing the little pushing, back and forth motion, because it will spread it out. And and two, it will spread it out, and I can kind of move my tortillon down a little bit if I need to, versus doing the little circles where there's, it just naturally kind of goes a little bit wider, and I want to protect that center area. You can always come back and and do like this, because I don't like having necessarily this straight line of graphite. I like to have it look natural, or just have it be a nice gradient. So we can always come back and play with it. Okay, so that looks neat, number 1. Then, well, we might as well do it on the other side, because what we're doing is we need to turn that. We are kind of adding the graphite to where this goes under. And if you have challenges, I listen to a lot of people, or a lot of people on our the Tangle Addicts community on Facebook, and I've seen other comments on other groups, where people feel kind of at a loss, like I just don't know where to start shading. And so this is one of them. So depending on the tangle that you're doing, if you have something that appears to be tucked under something else like this, or you have straight lines that go at, what would that be, a 45-degree angle from something else, just like these, or or close, that's a good place to start. But doing it on the lines that would be tucked in the other side, tucked in under, whatever the other piece is. So that way, yeah, like I said, you get that, it gives that impression. And if you're careful, like I said, in leaving just a little bit of the natural tile color there, you get, number 1, it makes it kind of look shiny, and then 2, you get that bend. Now with it, so it looks, so the impression is that this, it's like, these are like a leaf, and this is like a big, like it's turned over. And what I thought, I want to add some to the tip of this, just because they just look kind of weird hanging out there. And so I'm doing it from the tip, and just coming down a little bit down the curved side. You could also play with it, maybe have it come down both sides. Just take a look. I'm just going to do this much first, and we'll see. And kind of similar thing, because I don't want it to go too far. It kind of down and in and around. Oh yeah, see that? And that's giving it the rounding, and it could probably come down a little bit further too, looking at it now, because that accentuates the, that it's bent or turned. All right. Yeah. And then, you can always take a look, like this was a little bit light, and I do kind of like it down a little bit, because I kind of made these kind of giant, so it's like, well, and that's probably why they looked weird, hanging out there. So, although I'm looking back at Midori's step out, and hers are kind of big too, so that just looks kind of neat. That looks kind of neat. All right, now let's go to the second one. Oh, I'm doing okay on time. I was worried. I don't want it. I'm always aiming to make these quick, but at least, it's to the point. Well, except for my rambling, which, although that does go to a point as well. All right, so the second variation that she lists, she said it's based on Fangle. Fangle based is what she said. So we start out the same way. So again, that was kind of doing the takeoff and a little bit of a curve. Now this one, I'm kind of dicing it right there. you want to, because this one we have something on the end, so I had almost forgotten here, but you know, if you do, you'll see what we end up doing with that, because there is a little piece on the end. So the spokes have to be a little bit further away from wherever the end of your either the section or whatever you're working on, just so that way there's room. There we go. Yeah, and I really like the idea of you know, doing it cross, because that's easy. It's easy to see, and then subdividing it. That for me works out well. Versus, you know, my initial thought was, okay, if I'm going to go around, and then it was like, ugh. So then it's like, nope, let's just do it in a cross, subdivide. Perfect. All right, so like I said, this step is the same as what we've already done. The next step is different, so we're going to work from, so you pick a spoke, and we're going to come kind of, you know, down a little bit, curve. It's still an S shape, it's still a backwards S shape, but we're working on the left side of the spoke, and then curving it over so that way it meets, what is that, about a third-ish of the way, less than half of the way up. You can decide how far up you go. I'm just in my mind, I kind of pick, well, where do I want to go with that? And I'm just sharing it, so that way, in case it helps you, great. And everyone else that knows, it's like, well, you know, you can do however you want to do it. And then just continuing around. Oh, and that looks neat. Like I said, just in and of itself, I kind of look at that and go, wow, well, that's neat. All right, the next step is we're going to put, like, if you've done the Tangle Flux, it's kind of like a petal of flux. You could think of it as sort of a teardrop, or that it would, although it would be, or just a drop, although it would be up. Well, if you draw it from here, it would not be upside down if you drew them down here. I like to draw them going up. All right, so I will just demonstrate. Or tethered orb, that I like that phrase as well. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to kind of do the takeoff and land. I'm going to use this as a little bit of a runway, and then just like so. Okay, so we'll do that again. So it's coming off, you're kind of making an orb, but then, no, you're coming back to the same place that you started from. And these, I do believe you could have some fun with these little shapes, you know, if you have them kind of, you know, turning a different direction. I'm kind of just trying to go with however this end went. So like this one went straight up, so this one went a little bit more straight up. This one kind of turned a little bit to the side, so I was just using that and just kind of going in the same direction. Okay, this one, similar to the last one, we're just going to do some straight lines. And so we're going to go in the big section first, and just lines going down, and I'm auraing the right hand side, so like I'm auraing this side here, just like so. And mine are kind of thin, so I can only do, say, a couple lines in there. I also kind of like doing it this way because it's like this, besides that this is how she has it in the step out, it, if if you're a little, sometimes, you know, Tangle challenged as I can be, it's nice. It's like, okay, well, I can do these same steps, and then it's similar, it's familiar, and then we can just go from there. All right. You know, one thought, which I almost kind of did there, was, you know, having it come out from the same place. So then it looks, I don't know what you would call that, but, you know, where then it would get thicker here versus, or I mean, more dense with the color here versus, you know, we're starting the lines just, you know, kind of going straight down it. Okay, next one. I had a little bit of trouble figuring out how these lines were done, but what I resolved myself to with this one, sorry, as I'm talking, my sliding my thing. So in looking at Midori's step out, It's almost like they're, you know, these lines are going into here. And it's the same concept as what we have here, where it's like this, if we were thinking of this as a leaf, you know, these are kind of like the veins in it, and it's, oh, you know what, I just realized we need to do this side too. Because if it's turned, it needs to be on that side, because that's where it would turn. Oh, nuts. Well, you know what, we'll do that too. We'll go back. All right, so this one, I decided to do some curve lines kind of like this. I mean, number one, I want to be able to see them, but I have them kind of all going down into that very thin end, or the connector, I guess you could call it. You know, and like some of mine is like, well, I can only fit a couple in, so that's just what we do. And it's all okay. And, all right, and because this is just totally bugging me, let's go back to the first one. You know, and sometimes you got to put things down for a minute and then take a look. And this will be fine even doing both of these. We'll just be careful not to, you know, to have some of that original tile color open. You know, and that could be, we can pretend like that is also looping back around. Okay. And oh, it's like, it was just here. And you know, it's like, I haven't mentioned it in a while. But with Zentangle, we don't necessarily worry about light source and all of that kind of thing with the shading. It's more about using, you know, the dark pushes things down and the light brings things up. So using the dark on this edge, and oh my goodness, that did it. That made this edge now kind of go down a little bit. And because there's a gradient, it makes it rounder. Oh, okay. I'm glad I noticed that. All right. So for this one, you know, kind of similar. Let's start off in the same place, right here in the base, where all of these ends, you know, like I said, and sometimes if you think of it as, well, the inspiration could be organic, and because it does look flowery, and we'll just put that graphite right where those lines are tucked in. This one, because it's a little bit longer, you could kind of bring it out. Oops, there we go. A little bit if you want. And then too, I like to start light sometimes, unless I know exactly the outcome that I want and I know how much graphite I need to put down. But you know, until then, you know, depends on what I'm doing. Go light. You can always add some. All right, and then let's see, we can kind of have some go up. You know what, I'm going to use what's left on my tortillon, because it's already kind of naturally darkened up there, but I'm going to just do it right here. And then I need a little bit more. Sometimes it's good to do that. Just use what's left on your tortillon, just so that way it doesn't get so packed up. Because I've had it happen where all of a sudden I was like, why is that so dark? Oh, well, because I haven't unpacked it. All right, so you know what? So using that same logic, I'm gonna put that I just, you know, realized on this one. So I'm just gonna put some graphite on the top here, or actually just look at it and see, well, where does it look like it's kind of bending? Sometimes I do like to, you know, just pick a side and stick with it. So that's something else too. If you're not sure about, you know, about shading, that's one thing. Just pick a side, spread it out, give yourself a nice gradient, and then take a look at it. Either sometimes, you know, just in real life, well, sometimes I have to just not look at it for a little bit and then come back. Oh, that looks neat. Or sometimes look at it, take a picture of it and look at it through your camera, or hold it up and stand in front of your mirror and hold it up in front of the mirror, just so you see it from a little bit different perspective. And it's just really neat. Sometimes, too, like I said, just walking away. There's a little tag off this that's bugging me. There we go. Sometimes just walking away and then coming back a little bit later, even if it's just a minute or so, not looking at it because we're so micro-focused on what we're doing that, you know, we're micro-looking at everything. So sometimes, again, turn it over, put your hand on it, and then come back and you go, who did that? That's amazing. As I usually do. All right, so there we go. We have the well-based and the Fangle-based, lost the name, Harari, because I was going to say something else. I have a name of a movie in my head when I'm seeing that, and I'm not going to say it. But yeah, that's what's in my head, and I almost said it. So Harari by Midori Furuhashi. This is a fantastic tangle. I feel like I have made strides myself just in practicing this for this video. And I'm pretty tickled about that. I'm not going to feel so uncomfortable doing day 11 of the Inktober Tangles 2021, which will be Fangle. So we'll have fun with that tomorrow. Make sure to check out the description section for the step outs, as well as ways to connect with me if you so desire. I do free classes. I do some paid classes too. And I also have a Tangle Addicts Club for those that want to have all of the paid content that I put out, as well as to help support the free stuff that I do. So all the information is on my website, and the links are down there in the description section, as well as a Facebook group. So if you want to join a nice community, I would love to have you there. Also, if you have not subscribed yet, would love to have you as a subscriber to the channel, and would appreciate any thumbs up, comments, everything. Welcome. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I wish you happy tangling.